Good morning, grade 6. Wish you a good day. Our lesson today is Grammar, Unit 5, Week 4, Comparative and Superlative Adjectives using more and most. Grammar book, page 116 to 120. First, comparative adjectives is used to compare two objects, people, places, ideas, things, etc. To form the comparative adjectives, first, the short adjectives, one or two syllables. As we learned in the previous lesson, we just add er to the adjective. For example, fast, in the comparative faster, big, bigger, happy, happier, and don't forget the spelling rules we learned about. But for long adjectives with three syllables or more, for adjectives for more than two syllables, we form a comparative by adding more in front of the adjective. So the form is like that, more plus the adjective. For example, if I say tigers are ferocious, ferocious is a long adjective, more than two syllables. But lions are more ferocious. So we compare between lions and tigers here. So we use more plus the long adjective. Another example, iPhones are more expensive than Samsung phones. So expensive is a long adjective, so we put more before expensive. Or Samsung phones are less expensive than iPhones, so we can put more or less before the long adjective, which are more than two syllables. This is for the comparative, to compare between two. If we are comparing among three or more, we use the form superlative adjectives. To compare among three or more people, things, ideas, etc., we use the form. For the short adjectives, which are one or two syllables, as we learned in the previous lesson, of one syllable and some two-syllable adjectives, short adjectives, we just add the in front of the adjective and est to its end, or at the end of the adjective. For example, fast becomes fastest if I'm comparing more than two. Big, biggest, happy, happiest, and also watch out the spelling rules while you are using this part. But for the long adjectives, for adjectives of more than two syllables, which are longer or long adjectives, we use or we add the most, the word the most in front of the adjective. So the form will be the most or the least before the long adjective. So for example here, if I say Sam is the most intelligent student in our class, so I'm comparing between Sam and the whole class. I'm not comparing between two here, but Sam to the whole students in the class. So Sam is the most intelligent student in our class. I just add the most before the long adjective. King Kong is the most thrilling movie ever. I'm comparing the movie King Kong to the rest of movies. Also, Honor phones are the least expensive phones. I'm comparing between Honor phones and the rest of the phones. So this is superlative form. As you see, I use most, or least if I'm forming superlative adjective. For example here, if I'm comparing here using this example or forming comparative and superlative, for example, I'm comparing between brands of cars. Mercedes costs 5,000 reals. Porsche costs 1 million reals, for example. Lexus costs 1,500,000 reals. If I'm using comparative and superlative with the long adjective here, the examples will be like that. Mercedes cars are expensive, of course. 500,000 reals is a large amount of money. But if I'm comparing a Porsche to Mercedes, so Porsche is more expensive than Mercedes if you look at the amount of money for both of them. So more expensive than. But if I'm comparing Lexus to the three or to the other two, it will be Lexus is the most expensive car of the three. Just because I'm saying of the three, I use the superlative, the most expensive. But watch out while you are using the comparative and superlative form. Remember, don't add er and most to the same adjective when comparing two adjectives. For example here, this house is more older than yours. Of course, more older is wrong. I'm using more and er at the same time, so you have to erase it. So the correct sentence is, this house is older than yours, not more older. Also, don't use est and most to the same adjective when forming a superlative form. So, for example, it's one of the most largest cities in the world. So most with est, with the superlative, it's not correct here. But the correct sentence is, it's one of the largest cities in the world. This is the correct form. For example, here, look at this table. We can have some examples. For example, here, exciting, comparative, more exciting, superlative, most exciting. Close, since it's short adjective, it will be closer, closest. Impressive, long adjective, more impressive, most impressive. Happy, short adjective, happier and happiest. Okay, so in this part we learned how to compare or to form comparative and superlative using the long adjectives. Thank you.